Roseanne Carol Fretheim was born on November 24th, 1943, in Bloomington, Minnesota. She grew up there, graduating from high school in 1961. She married Harlan in 1966 and instantly gained 4 children. Then, having 2 more kids, bringing their family to a family of 8. Sue was a caretaker. We heard about that in Cindy's reflection. She was hospitable and was a great entertainer, always wanting to help, making sure that people felt comfortable and had what they needed. People here at Trinity remember her for her outgoing personality. She loved talking to people, and she had a great smile, accentuated by perfect lipstick. Our office manager remembered her laugh, which flowed freely. She was personable and worked hard and wanted to make sure that people were taken care of, especially caring for Harlan as his health declined. In the final years of her life, she needed to be cared for more than she could care for others. I'm sure that that was a hard shift in her family dynamics. Now, Sue is gone. She is not hosting, she is not caretaking. She's not laughing or chatting with everyone around her. She has been welcomed into the arms of her Savior, Jesus Christ, and she is at rest. Though I haven't yet had a family choose the 11th chapter of John for a funeral, I can't help but think how appropriate this story is. Our story today ends at verse 27, before Jesus has actually raised Lazarus from the dead. Lazarus, Jesus' friend and loved one, has fallen ill, and his sisters asked Jesus to come and help. But Jesus lingered. He didn't immediately go to Lazarus. Our biblical text is explicit. Jesus knew that the resurrection was coming. Jesus knew that death would not have the final say. But Mary and Martha did not know that. Martha comes to meet Jesus and she says, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that God will give whatever you ask of him." You can hear the mixed emotion in Martha's statement. There's something accusatory. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's grief. But she tells Jesus, "I wish you had stopped this." Her next statement reveals the hope. But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him. Even still, Martha believes in Jesus. She trusts that Jesus' presence can still bring relief. That's the thing about our grief, isn't it? It isn't only one emotion we experience. We are like Martha. I'm sure each and every one of you has experienced a full range of emotions since Sue died in February. Anger at the situation, sadness as you miss her, joy as you remember the happy moments, regret maybe about an unsolved situation, relief that she's not suffering anymore, pain as you feel the void in your life that wasn't there before. The grief we experience is not simple. It's not easy. It's complicated and messy, and all of it is valid. We join the good company of Martha, who feels a mix of emotions in the face of death. Our story continues as Jesus goes on to promise Martha, "I am the resurrection and life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." Jesus promises us that death has no power over us anymore. Jesus promises us that he came into the world to meet us in our most broken places, to bring forth Jesus came into this world knowing that he would head toward the cross, toward the place and time of utter pain and humiliation and brokenness. And Jesus chose to come into this world anyway. Jesus faced the cross. Jesus entered into the most broken place of this world, death. And Jesus conquered death, bringing forth life abundant. This is our inheritance and the promise that Jesus gives to us. There is no place in life that we can go where Jesus will not be with us. And even in death, Jesus meets us there because he went there first, erasing the darkness and bringing forth light and life. This does not mean that death is not ugly still. This does not mean that death